highest level, to say it's the crux of it is still the analysis done by Julia Livermore in my office that you're all, I think, familiar with. You've seen, and what we did was we made some assumptions about the COP area, how to buffer that area, and then how to project that information forward for 30 years. So that's, you know, the data that we were working with. The tricky part is, as you know, Mr. Chairman, is Jonah crab and lobster is not involved in that data. So that was kind of another piece of it where we use fishery independent survey information, partitioned out how that was putting the resource and space in the area and outside of the area, and then using those proportions, we then extrapolated that to landings. That was, you know, one of the, I'll call it the more statistical approaches that we used to try and come up with something where there was nothing for us to use in the standard data that's available.
Can I ask you, Jason, was there any look or did you look into future damage to the resources? Is this just based on loss of access? Is this, if we start losing the air classes of squid, lobster, et cetera,
Yeah.
due to the construction phase, the pilot and DEM, et cetera?
Yep, no, really good question. And so we were very clear as we brought this analysis forward to the director and to the governor's office that this is purely landings and value associated with those landings. We used an ARIMA model, which is a time series analysis, to look to see if we could pull out trends and cycles in the data. Those would be statistically derived and not based on actual impacts or something to that nature. So my long answer to what should have been a short answer was we didn't do any specific analysis to look at any impacts to the ecosystem or anything like that. However, we did look at trends and cycles in the existing data and tried to run that forward.
Thanks, Jason. Is there anybody else?
Jason, I know that one of the things that Benny's talking about is the BTR reports. So they could have a vessel report that's, say, 10 miles outside the block that's being fished in, so the data wouldn't show up necessarily for that block that's being fished in, shows outside of it. Are you trying to find ways to overcome that limitation within the BTRs to help substantiate it? I know it's a very difficult issue and one that there have been a number of agencies looking at and trying to tackle and deal with, so it may be unfair to try to pin it all on one agency, but I know it's one of the issues that's out there, because when we were doing the ocean planning, it's a big issue being able to try to wrestle with.
Yeah, so, and forgive me if I'm not answering the question that you asked, but we did use both BTR data and the VMS data, and so in that, and so this was one of the important assumptions that we used for this analysis that we brought forward, and that is, so we have information from reported by the fishermen as well as the VMS data, we can connect those two sources of data. In trips that passed outside and inside, we counted that whole trip as a loss. So that was an important, we had in other meetings and things like that, we had gotten that feedback from our fishermen, and so we felt that was our strongest assumption. So we did take that whole trip and not only the weighted portion of the trip from Julia's original analysis.